congratulate the Noble Lord the Ministers on their new roles and maiden speeches today, and I look forward to asking them many questions. I will focus my contribution on violence against Black, Asian and minority ethnic women. I therefore declare my interest as CEO of Muslim Women's Network UK, and I welcome the government's bold pledge to halve violence against women and girls. However, to be successful, they will need to tackle the radicalisation of boys into extreme misogyny by online male toxic influencers, which is a problem in every community. So how will the government tackle this? Also, to be successful, they will need tailored approaches to different communities according to their needs. My Lords, I welcome efforts to date on tackling FGM, forced marriage and honour-based violence, but what I've noticed is when it comes to minority ethnic communities, that there is a greater tendency to focus on abuses linked to cultural practices. But what's actually killing women is domestic abuse, and that doesn't get the same attention in minority ethnic communities. In fact, when it comes to domestic homicides, minority ethnic women are overrepresented by 22%. So I urge the government to hold a public consultation to uncover the contributing factors to this overrepresentation, and then come up with recommendations across government departments and across services. I also urge the government to try and think about having a legal definition on spiritual abuse. I will be holding a roundtable meeting in September with minority ethnic groups, and I urge the government to send policy advisors to that meeting to listen to what the women have to say. My Lords, now I want to turn my attention to hate crime. And I was disappointed not to see this in His Majesty's speech, given that hate crime has been going up for over a decade now. But I'm going to now focus my comments more on Muslim women. So police data actually shows that the vast majority of perpetrators tend to be white males. So I would consider this as a form of gender-based violence. Yet this type of hate crime tends not to be included in violence against women and girls strategies. So I urge the government to consider putting it in there. I noticed in the Labour manifesto it talks about improving the way Islamophobia is monitored, and I welcome that. But what action will the government do to tackle anti-Muslim prejudice? So, for example, will it engage with Muslim communities and groups around the country, engage with Muslim women? Because that is something that the previous government did not do. Instead, it was focused on funding one project, which is Tal Mama since 2011, which now is given £1 million a year, even though Muslim communities do not have trust and confidence in that project anymore. There are concerns over transparency, governance, how funding is being spent and the quality of the data. I was so concerned that I asked the previous government 31 questions which were not answered, and that caused me a lot of anxiety, and I hope the new government will answer those questions. In fact, recently, an academic, Dr. Nafeez Ahmed, tried to write articles about my concerns, and the project spent a lot of money hiring Mishcon Dorea, which are expensive lawyers, to try and block the articles, which were not thankfully successful. So I think I am onto something. So I do think that we need to look into this very deeply and carefully. What are they hiding? Could it be the inflation-busting pay rise of the CEO, which went from 77,000 to 93,000, which is 21% pay rise? So, my Lords, I urge the government to review this expenditure of public funding and talk to Muslim communities around the country and set up alternative hate crime reporting hubs within communities, and I'm more than happy to support the government to engage with and speak to affected communities, and in particular Muslim women.